Hello and welcome to Investors Hangout brought to you by Aditya Birla Sun Life Mutual Fund and Value Research. Now today we're going to answer a question that many long-term investors worry about. Your fund was a top performer but now it looks ordinary. What really happened? Did you make a mistake or something else is happening here? We'll understand that with Dhirendra Kumar. Welcome Dhirendra.
Thank you.
So a viewer told us that their fund topped the charts 2 years ago but now it barely beats the average. What is really happening here? Did he commit a mistake or?
No, it's not a mistake. It's a very common thing. Investing is a very optimistic, optimism-led endeavor. You postpone today's consumption for some future growth, and you do it with all kind of, and then you do it in a good weather when it does well. And most new investors start by looking at the past performance, and they think that it will be repeated, and that does not happen. It's a most common thing. And it happens with most investors when they are getting started. And once you get acclimatized to it, once you become a seasoned investor, then you get used to it. This is called mean reversion. Something which does well, and then it is followed by, and it may be specific to the fund, it may be specific, and it could be broadly for the market as well. And so this is mean reversion. And I don't think you have committed a mistake. Equities are like that only.
So, to explain mean reversion to new investors better, can you explain that with an example possibly?
Generally, we tend to expect that, okay, this is the X amount of return. It will be very precisely in fixed income fund, but in case of equity, we tend to expect that, okay, the general return from equity will be 12-13%. And if that is the long-term average, then there will be years in which you will earn 20%. There will be years in which you will earn 25%. There will be years when you will actually not earn anything, or your principal can go down in value from the previous year. This is reversion to mean. Generally, on an average, you tend to expect this return, and that is reversion to mean. Some years you do well, some years you do poorly, and things get anchored to a certain value. That is reversion to mean. Mean is the long-term average.
Right. But why can't a top fund stay on the top forever?
Because the world doesn't work like that. Every part of the market, every segment of the market, every style in the market, or every geography where market operates, they are cyclical. Some do well, and the others do poorly, and that could be true for and that could be true for even fund managers. The very reason that the fund manager is exceptional, sometimes that reason itself makes him a laggard, because the underlying thing which is driving the performance, that is cyclical.
Does that mean that an investor should switch to the top performing fund every year?
Yes, if you are a magician and you can anticipate which one will do well. Because after a fund has done well, then that is past, and then you have to guess that. So if you can actually predict which fund will do very well next year, by all means do it, and also help us find one. But that's the hard part. If you can anticipate, and that anticipation, and the problem is that if you have chosen a good fund, if you have chosen a fund which is diversified, if you have chosen a fund which is configured to do well over a period of time, because it's diversified, something will do well, something will do poorly, and something is poised to do well, and that is why fund manager has kept that. All the components of the portfolio will not do well all the time, and once in a while you get lucky. Once in a while you get into a bull phase where a segment of the market or the market overall goes up dramatically and continues doing that. That is what we call, we have seen that in a phase of the market which was like 2003 to 2007. Market went up by 5 times. Or what we saw with the technology component of the market in the US. So there could be a segment of the market which does well and keeps doing well over a sustained period of time. But then reversion to mean is a reality, is the truth. And it is very hard to avoid.
So for someone watching this episode today, what is the takeaway he should leave with?
He should leave with the understanding that markets will be cyclical. Something which you buy with an understanding that it is doing well and it will continue to do well. There is a possibility that it will stop doing well as you expected it to be. It will stop doing well as it did in the recent past. And that does not mean that it will not do well in future. if the variables are very nicely in place, which was driving the performance of this fund, those same variables, the same principles, the same portfolio characteristic which has led to the performance, will drive the performance once again. The advantage of a mutual fund is that it changes its complexion, and the fund manager is supposed to drive the change in complexion based on the outlook, based on something what was working and has stopped working. If something that has stopped working temporarily, then the fund manager will hang around. If something that has stopped working and looks like it has stopped working for a long time to come, then that is the liberty. That is why you have hired a fund manager that take care of my money. When something stops working and it is unlikely to work in future as well, or in recent future as well, be off it, get out of it. And that is what happens in a mutual fund very seamlessly, very tax efficiently. When a fund manager is booking or profits or losses, you don't incur any cost.
Okay, so if my top performing fund, if my best fund suddenly looks average, is there anything that I should be doing?
If your fund has suddenly stopped doing well, then you should check one or two things. One is that how does the fund stack up vis-a-vis its peers? If it has nicely settled at the bottom, then you just might have to worry. But then you have to look at a medium-term return, long-term return. Don't look at 7 days return. Don't look at 1 month return. Don't look at 3 month return. And also, most of the well-performing fund over a very long period of time, they also have a very bad phase. But make sure that this is not sitting at the bottom of the pack over a sustained period of time. If for the full 1 year the fund settles at the bottom and remains there and refuses to go up relative to others, you might have to worry and make a change. I'm talking of relative to others. That does not mean positive return, because in a falling market, every fund will fall. But relative to others, this has fallen most and continues to remain there. That is, so just negative return should not, because today many investors might be holding a great fund, and their fund might be beating the benchmark. Their funds might be beating their benchmark by a modest margin or a very high margin. But their experience is that they bought at the peak, and they're staring at a decline in value of their principal. And this fund might be beating the benchmark, would have fallen much less. It will be a very high quality portfolio managed by a thoughtful fund manager. But the negative return has a very proportionate effect. So understand the context. And some cases you might have to worry, but in most cases, look at 5-7 year return and how it relates to that, where it is anchored. If your fund is giving, say, 8% return, and your average return in this fund is still 18% because you were able to ride the boom, and now you're witnessing a decline, and the fund is not settled at the bottom of the pack for last 1 year, I don't think you should worry. You should carry on. For your financial success, it's very important for investors to tide through these lean periods, because if you panic and bail out of a fund simply because you are staring at the number and it looks red and you are disappointed because it was a very positive thing and you are relatively new, most of the successful investors' rewards comes not only because of good fund or a good fund manager, but also because of your patience, because of your consistency, and if you're onto a SIP plan, investing through these lean periods actually not only optimize your return, they maximize your return through these periods.
So the lesson is simple. An average looking year does not mean a bad fund. Yesterday's top performer can be today's laggard, but judge the full journey, stop chasing. That's all we have for you in today's episode. Keep watching this space for more information. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.
An investor education and awareness initiative of Aditya Birla Sun Life Mutual Fund. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.